Several years after father had retired on a pension, an English accountant arrived to examine the books of the Bengal-Nagpur Railway Company. The amazed investigator discovered that father had never applied for overdue bonuses. He did the work of 3 men, the accountant told the company. He has rupees 1,25,000, about $41,250 owing to him as back compensation. The officials presented father with a check for this amount. He thought so little about it that he overlooked any mention to the family. Much later, he was questioned by my youngest brother Bishnu, who noticed the large deposit on a bank statement. "Why be elated by material profit?" father replied. "The one who pursues a goal of even-mindedness is neither jubilant with gain nor depressed by loss. He knows that man arrives penniless in this world and departs without a single rupee." Early in their married life, my parents became disciples of a great master, Lahiri Mahasaya of Benares. This contact strengthened father's naturally ascetical temperament. Mother made a remarkable admission to my eldest sister Roma. "Your father and myself live together as man and wife only once a year for the purpose of having children." Father first met Lahiri Mahasaya through Avinash Babu, an employee in the Gorakhpur office of the Bengal-Nagpur Railway. Avinash instructed my young years with engrossing tales of many Indian saints. He invariably concluded with a tribute to the superior glories of his own Guru. "Did you ever hear of the extraordinary circumstances under which your father became a disciple of Lahiri Mahasaya?" It was on a lazy summer afternoon, as Abhinash and I sat together in the compound of my home, that he put his intriguing question. I shook my head with a smile of anticipation. "Years ago, before you were born, I asked my superior officer, your father, to give me a week's leave from my Gorakhpur duties in order to visit my Guru in Benares. Your father ridiculed my plan." "Are you going to become a religious fanatic?" he inquired. "Concentrate on your office work if you want to forge ahead." Sadly walking home along a woodland path that day, I met your father in a palanquin. He dismissed his servants and conveyance and fell into step beside me. Seeking to console me, he pointed out the advantages of striving for worldly success. But I heard him listlessly. My heart was repeating, "Lahiri Mahasaya, I cannot live without seeing you." Our path took us to the edge of a tranquil field where the rays of the late afternoon sun were still crowning the tall ripple of the wild grass. We paused in admiration. There in the field, only a few yards from us, the form of my great Guru suddenly appeared. "Bhagavati, you are too hard on your employee." His voice was resonant in our astounded ears. He vanished as mysteriously as he had come. On my knees, I was exclaiming, "Lahiri Mahasaya, Lahiri Mahasaya." Your father was motionless with stupefaction for a few moments. "Avinash, not only do I give you leave, but I give myself leave to start for Benares tomorrow. I must know this great Lahiri Mahasaya was able to materialize himself at will in order to intercede for you. I will take my wife and ask this master to initiate us in his spiritual path. Will you guide us to him?" Of course, joy filled me at the miraculous answer to my prayer and the quick, favorable turn of events. The next evening, your parents and I entrained for Benares. We took a horse cart the following day and then had to walk through narrow lanes to my Guru's scheduled home. Entering his little parlor, we bowed before the master, enlocked in his habitual lotus posture. He blinked his piercing eyes and leveled them on your father. "Bhagavati, you're too hard on your employee." His words were the same as those he had used 2 days before in the Gorakhpur field. He added, "I am glad that you have allowed Abhinash to visit me and that you and your wife have accompanied him." To their joy, he initiated your parents in the spiritual practice of Kriya Yoga. Your father and I, as brother disciples, have been close friends since the memorable day of the vision. Lahiri Mahasaya took a definite interest in your own birth. Your life shall surely be linked with his own. The Master's blessing never fails. Lahiri Mahasaya left this world shortly after I had entered it. His picture in an ornate frame always graced our family altar in the various cities to which Father was transferred by his office. Many a morning and evening found Mother and me meditating before an improvised shrine offering flowers dipped in fragrant sandalwood paste. We honored the divinity which had found full expression in Lahiri Mahasaya. His picture had a surpassing influence over my life. As I grew, the thought of the Master grew with me. In meditation, I would often see his photographic image emerge from its small frame and taking a living form sit before me. When I attempted to touch the feet of his luminous body, it would change and again become the picture. As childhood slipped into boyhood, I found Lahiri Mahasaya transformed in my mind from a little image cribbed in a frame to a living, enlightening presence. I frequently prayed to him in moments of trial or confusion, finding within me his solacing direction. At first, I grieved because he was no longer physically living. As I began to discover his secret omnipresence, I lamented no more. He had often returned to those of his disciples who were over-anxious to see him, "Why come to view my bones and flesh when I am ever within the range of your kutastha, that is, spiritual light?" I was blessed about the age of 8 with a wonderful healing through the photograph of Lahiri Mahasaya. This experience gave intensification to my love. While at our family estate in Ichapur, Bengal, I was stricken with Asiatic cholera. My life was despaired of. The doctors could do nothing. At my bedside, Mother frantically motioned me to look at Lahiri Mahasaya's picture on the wall above my head. "Bow to him mentally." She knew I was too feeble even to lift my hands in salutation. "If you really show your devotion and inwardly kneel before him, your life will be spared." I gazed at his photograph and saw there a blinding light enveloping my body and the entire room. My nausea and other uncontrollable symptoms disappeared. I was well. At once I felt strong enough to bend over and touch Mother's feet in appreciation of her immeasurable faith in a Guru. Mother pressed her head repeatedly against the little picture. "O omnipresent Master, I thank thee that thy light hath healed my son." I realized that she too had witnessed the luminous blaze through which I had instantly recovered from a usually fatal disease. One of my most precious possessions is that same photograph. That was given to Father by Lahiri Mahasaya himself, and it carries a holy vibration. The picture had a miraculous origin. I heard the story from Father's brother's disciple Kali Kumar Rai. It appears that the Master had an aversion to being photographed. Over his protest, a group picture was once taken of him and a cluster of devotees, including Kali Kumar Rai. It was an amazing photographer who discovered that the plate, which had clear images of all the disciples, revealed nothing more than a blank space in the center where he had reasonably expected to find the outlines of Lahiri Mahasaya. The phenomenon was widely discussed. A certain student, an expert photographer, Gangadhar Babu, boasted that the fugitive figure would not escape him. The next morning, as the Guru sat in his lotus posture on a wooden bench with a screen behind him, Gangadhar Babu arrived with his equipment. Taking every precaution of of success, he greedily exposed the 12 plates. On each one, he soon found the imprint of the wooden bench and screen, but once again the master's form was missing. With tears and shattered pride, Gangadhar Babu sought out his guru. It was many hours before Lahiri Mahasaya broke his silence with a pregnant comment. I am spirit. Can your camera reflect the omnipresent invisible? I see it cannot, but holy sir, I lovingly desire a picture of the bodily temple where alone to my narrow vision the spirit appears fully to dwell. Come then tomorrow morning, I will pose for you. Again the photographer focused his camera. This time the sacred figure, not cloaked with mysterious imperceptibility, was sharp on the plate. The master never posed for another picture, at least I have never seen. The photograph is reproduced in his book. Lahiri Mahasaya's fair features of a universal caste hardly suggest to what race he belonged. His intense joy of God communion is slightly revealed in a somewhat enigmatic smile. His eyes, half open to denote a nominal direction on the outer world, are half closed also. Completely oblivious to the poor lures of the earth, he was fully awake at all times to the spiritual problems of seekers who approached for his bounty. Shortly after my healing through the potency of the Guru's picture, I had an influential spiritual vision.